What would he talk about? Just real fast. Like, what was like the train of thought when you're fucked up?
Can we stop for a little bit and go do something? That's a lot of the conversation.
Oh, really?
No. It was they would, Nick and April would always say to Kayla, because sometimes they would pull me aside and talk shit about Kayla, and then sometimes they would pull Kayla aside and talk shit about me. It was very strange. But one thing they always said, Kayla would always come to me and goes, yeah, they pulled me aside and said, we think Aaron's trying to control our use. And I'm like, yeah, to zero. Like, I'd like you guys to stop. It would be nice if my wife wasn't face down into cocaine when I walked into your bathroom. I remember when they had just come back with a new haul, if you will. I walked into the bathroom and I see the woman I married. Not that, as Ashton would say, not that I can really talk about the sanctity of marriage, but I saw her with 2 fucking credit cards chopping up this big mountain of coke. And she looks at me smiling and she goes, honey, see, because she would always try to tell me it's not that bad. And I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable with it. It hurts me to see you doing it. It's making you less, like attentive towards the children. She wasn't doing it while the children were around, but I'm saying like she wanted to be there doing that more than like she would come home really late sometimes. Like I would go home earlier because I would have to take care of the kids and I didn't want them there. And I would tell her, hey, just make sure you're home to tuck the kids in with me. And she would show up at like 11 at night. And the kids would have already been in bed. And that would piss me off. And I go, you got to stop doing drugs. You got to start being here for the kids more. And we'd have a big fight. But when she would tell me, she goes, no, you should just come into the bathroom with me when I'm doing it. And you'll see it's not so bad. And I'm like, that's the opposite of what I'm talking about. So when I saw her, fucking Chef Boyardee with the goddamn powder, she looks at me and she goes, see, honey? This big smile on her face. See, honey, it's not that bad, is it? And I remember looking at her and going, this is actually one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is not, I'm not.
Like you're the hero in all these stories,
No, I'm a complete piece of shit. I'm talking about fucking another guy's wife in half these stories. I don't think that's what the hero does.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like, so you were upset about it. You didn't stop it. And that's what makes you a piece of shit. Like,
yeah, I couldn't save their kids. I couldn't save Kayla. I couldn't get April to stop doing it. Yeah, I failed at like by every measure of helping people with any drug problem. I failed miserably.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Sean, let's say hi to Sean here. He's sitting here. Yo, yeah, Sean, yeah. I had linked his fucking YouTube. I'm going to link your YouTube over here. Everyone go check out Sean. We've run into each other through, like happenstance, a list of clips, a lot of that stuff too. But yeah, give us your take, just overall.
I mean, it's sad to see. I mean, I know for the A-logs out there and everybody who, this is a fun day and all that, and I get that for their side of it. But yeah, it's sad to see somebody, going through all this. And, the one thing people, yes, he's innocent until proven guilty, but Nick also has problems. I mean, let's say he's right. We don't know the whole story. The drugs aren't an issue. He's got a big old drinking problem, and he needs to get right on that. Mm-hmm. I will say the one thing you guys were talking about earlier tonight about what Kayla was charged with, and it was about the way it's listed with abuse and neglect and all that. I think that, they're government workers, so whoever typed it in put in the wrong code section, because instead of A2, there's a B2 section, which reflects with the top one, which is, neglecting the children in a way for just their normal care, and that lists out the penalty for it.
Okay.
So I think that's... Right.
So the charge is more that they just didn't take care of their kids, not that they were molested or beaten.
No, I don't... That's...
Thank God.
I don't think anything... Well,
yeah, because I couldn't see her doing that. That's so out of character.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And once again, that's all we have from that. I know you've said from what you know, Aaron, and from what you've been there, and I can't take your word for it at this point because I don't know anything else about it. But yes, the police said like, oh, the house was all, they said it was fucked up, but what does that actually mean? And I will say from where we go from here, we aren't going to know a whole lot right away because the way it works in Minnesota, Nick's been charged. That's basically his indictment. That hearing in August is going to be the suppression hearing. They're going to challenge everything. That's where the fight's going to happen if they do have a fight. So what we know now, we'll probably know a little bit more drips and drabs, but I don't think we're going to know a ton until we see the filings from his attorney and whoever he hired, and whoever Kayla hires.
Maybe also just I want to say one thing here. Okay, thank God there was no sexual or physical abuse. But with that being said, not feeding your kids, being on drugs, being drunk, doing all this fucking degenerate shit with kids in the house is not as bad as raping them, but it's fucked and horrible. And it's like, thank God, it's like the lowest bar possible. Thank God they weren't molested.
Yes.
Like that's the lowest bar in the world right now, okay? Guns and shit,
To correct you on one thing, their kids weren't starved. I mean, they didn't eat the best. I mean, there's a lot of fast food and easy to make stuff, but they weren't starved.
They didn't eat the best. I'm sorry. This guy's supposed to be a pillar of the community. He's supposed to be the father of 5 children.
You're
He's
talking
supposed
about
to be a lawyer. He's supposed to be a lawyer, for fuck's sake. He's supposed to be a leader in his church. He was teaching children at the church, and his own children are having to eat fast food, while his wife is supposed to be a stay-at-home mom that takes care of them, but they're too strung out on drugs to figure it out.
I really have to stop splitting hairs around Ashton. He'll eat you alive.
But this is really just crazy that people are coming out here and defending this today. Like Uncivil Law, Buddy in Houston, is sitting there defending this shit, saying the mandatory reporter was wrong to report this, that the children should have been left in this drug den. And it's like, I just can't understand how these people just have zero humanity. They're only looking to make $1 off of their association with Rekieta, and it's shameful as fuck. Nobody can just come out and say the truth. And you, Sean, were probably the closest out of all the lawyers in LawTube to really actually saying the truth to Rekieta, and you still made it very, round off the edges, be very delicate with this guy. He wouldn't fucking listen. Yeah. And these people are still sweeping out. What do you think of this shit, Sean?
I mean, when it comes to the whole issue about the pastor and what he did, he went a week ago, and the police had their warrant. Obviously, the pastor coming in and saying, I think them darn Rekieters are dopers. They aren't getting a search warrant for that. I think they probably had a lot more collaboration for whatever evidence they had. Now, do I trust the police? No. Do I think the government's full of crooked people? Sure. But going off of my practice and experience of doing this for a while, something happened and they got some information. I don't know what it was, but this also turns into the police, if it wasn't, if it's not 25 grams of snow, what was it, 4 or 5? I mean, that's kind of
Sean,
you know what I mean? That's my point.
But is Rekieta O.J. Simpson? No. Is this where the defense is going? That the drugs were planted?
Well, right? I don't know.
This is a conspiracy by the law department. Sean, I'm going to just be honest with you. Does that, cannot hold any sort of water with you, Sean? As a reasonable person with a brain in your fucking head. Do you seriously think that Nick Rekieta is in a conspiracy that Joe Biden cooked up because he's embarrassing the government? Because this is the shit I'm hearing.
Yeah, like I said, based on my experience and how things have gone in my time as an attorney, no, something happened. Now, this is where you have a client. I didn't do X. Okay, well, did you do Y? Or did you partially do X? How much of X did you do? They're claiming you did X 7 times. Well, you only did it 3. Okay, this is where, there's more to it. Well, I don't know how much more there is to the cops claiming they found a bunch of stuff. Now, yes, there was a search warrant. Nick could contest that search warrant. Maybe he gets it suppressed. Cool, if he does, great. And the cops fucked up, then that's it. But the idea, that it's all planted, or the preacher did something... I'm sure that was the last step. I mean, we've heard Nick talk about the Scandinavian incel prudes. And I'm sure they said, hey, Nick, are you doing okay, buddy? How are things going? Can we help you at all? you're looking a little rough. Was it a rough night streaming? And I'm sure there were multiple attempts, just like all of us who are honest about it have said, hey, Nick, you all good, man? Is there anything, like, what's going on? What, like, talk, oh, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm sure that it wasn't just the pastor going,
but
fuck this guy.
firsthand, Sean, how he is.
Yeah.
You know firsthand. So the pastor probably did. We don't know. But he probably did go to Rekieta a number of times and try, because Rekieta kept bitching about the church on his stream, didn't he? A number of times.
And like I said, the pastor just going there alone, that wouldn't be enough. Saying, "Oh my God, they're doing drugs and they're drinking, and they're treating their kids poorly." That wouldn't be enough for the police.
You think one of the kids tipped off the cops?
I don't know.
Because one of the kids wasn't there. And
well,
it might have been the oldest.
One of the kids, the oldest one, does go to a school. So in the morning, he goes off to school.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he probably going to school. I don't know. I don't know what happened, and that's something I want to see the affidavit for the search warrant, because they're going to need more than just the pastor saying, "Oh, I think there's something bad."
All right, so you're looking at this from a purely legal point of view, which I understand, Sean.
I mean, here's what I'll say. On its face, this isn't good. This is not good.
No, but Sean, it's beyond that.
No, it's
as someone who was there, I can almost, when I read the police report, I can visualize in my brain, like I recorded it, where they went, what they did, exactly where they found it.
Okay.
It makes it's spot on. I mean, to me, like as a guy who's been there for a long time, this is almost a dead to rights situation.
Well, I guess I'll say like this, PPP. If it's 50% true, this is awful. If it's 15% true, this is awful.